go.
Great, thanks very much. Now, I think a couple people here saw my colleague when he came up to present, and it was very, very early days for us, and it was about his second or third day in, so he couldn't answer some of your technical questions. So if you were in and around that time, I'm now able to hopefully answer those questions that he unfortunately couldn't answer. But anyway, SmartWorld Connect, what we're here for is we've now got the technology so that cities can have their own app store, or even small areas of cities can have their own app store. And on it, the original plan was really just to put on lots of apps that connected people together, because all this talk about what is a smart city, well, in our view, it's very similar to what Dan was saying. It's about using technology to connect people together and connect people to resources, to make the place a better place to live in. And it's really as simple as that. So we were after really, really community-based things and doing lots of things, connecting people to share their own gardening duties and hobbies and going on walks and things, just a way for people to use tech to connect with like-minded people and resources. What we found was that the councils wouldn't pay for that. And they said, look, where's the ROI? We have 50% of our what we have to do is all about adult social care. So if you can do an enclosed, private, secure app store for our adult social care apps, that would be great, we'll have that. So anyway, we've been developing that as a separate stream. But where we've come to is, to do this right, it has to be self-generating. It has to actually, I think it's self-generating, probably making money as well. And that's why we've ended up focusing on helping the high streets. So at the moment, our app stores are pretty much focused on getting people to go into high streets, incentivizing them to spend a bit more money, stay a bit longer, and really try to help the high street issues about moving from retail-based to more experience and experiential things. So that's where we've come from. The technology is fantastic. It's all latest technology, and we picked up the Innovate UK Startup of the Year based on the technology and the concepts. So that bit's good. Getting big projects with public sector taking a bit longer. But anyway, let's take you through a bit of the journey. So what we've got now is a technology that Sheffield as a whole, or all those millions, the lots of villages that make up Sheffield, can all have their own individual app store. You decide what goes in on that app store, and typically we want things that get people into the high streets and increase their spend. And really targeting the business people, residents and visitors, have a feedback loop so that the stakeholders can come up with ideas, and for app developers to create more apps to go on the app stores. Now, there are lots of app developers out there who've got the skill sets for Android and iOS, but actually we've ended up using Flutter, which is a new Google technology, which allows you to make apps that work on both Android and iTunes. So that's really helped. Plus, we've made some templates so that people with hardly any technical skills now can actually make their own apps. Now, just by building on the templates we give them, and then they send it into our team, and then we put it into the structure. So that, again, is another thing that helps this. Because the business model, just like iTunes, just like Google Play, is lots and lots and lots of apps. And each one has a particular interest for a group of people, but it's the combined nature of all that together that makes all of this work. No single thing will be a game changer. No in-app developer who makes one app will become zillionaire in this world for at least a while. So, it works just like iTunes, just like Google Play. It's got, so if I go back one, could you click on the video
Yep.
for me? Next slide. So, shall I?
Yeah, you go to the next slide.
It's got, there's a security login, it's got the page with recommendations, it's got your favourite, most popular, it's got your categorised section, easy to download the app. So this is this is one of ours here, and it is exactly like you'd expect, but with apps on it that you want to sort issues in your area. I think the security bit is quite interesting because so that allows you to have private app stores. In this case, when we're working with one on the adult social care, so it's exactly as you'd expect it to be. Pretty much no different from everything everybody's already used to. You've just got to get the curation right. Now, okay, so I'll move on to that. Okay, thanks. So one of the first things we do is we will actually we curate existing apps that appear in that area, in that region. And normally, quite a few places got a taxi app or a news app or restaurant apps and events and things up. So we put them on as long as they are, again, fulfill the criteria, getting people into the city centre, spending more money, doing something and connecting people. Second thing we do is all councils, local authorities have a ton of stuff on their websites, really useful stuff like events or things like rubbish collection. People don't tend to go onto the websites to do that, but on rubbish collection, wouldn't it be great if you've got an app that alerts you which bin to put out on which day? And if you're not around on this particular app, you can designate a neighbour to go and take your bins out for you or bring them back in again. It's that level of stuff that we're talking about, but lots and lots of ones like this. We do hope to help with a local tech hub to kind of start developing some of the more apps for the local people. Most of them are students spend quite a lot of time in the bedrooms making video games, but they're keen to do something more serious as well. So hopefully we can help a bit more with that. A typical type of thing, this is why interesting, this presentation actually links in with the two before, because the driver of all of this is awareness through Wi-Fi. If you've got free Wi-Fi in the city centres, in this particular case, we think you should be able to download automatically your city or high street or region app store. And that gets you the coverage really quickly. Because I haven't got all the ROI details here because it'd be too much for this environment. But it's all about lots and lots of small things happening, and that all go together to create an overall benefit to the businesses in the high street, and actually to create money back for the city itself. So typically, download the App Store with the free Wi-Fi, apps segmented by the different audiences. We want to get them to go in to events or entertainment, restaurant, bars, social events, courses, anything to help get people to move, spend a bit more money in those high street areas. And to help that, ease of parking. We're not afraid to talk about smart parking, but in this particular case, the business model is businesses in the high street who've got 20 parking spaces. The technology is cheap enough now to convert that, use the technology with sensors and the ANPR cameras. You can now make that part of the parking landscape with an app. So if a business has got parking spaces not used at the weekend, they can have, we can put the sensors in, and you've got your app and say, I want to park at 10:30 on a Saturday morning right in the centre of the high street. I'll pick that space, it's £1 an hour, and the app will direct me to that exact space. and money goes through the payment platform on the App Store. The person who's given up the spaces gets 90%, and the rest of the 10% is split between the city, the app developer, the payment platform, and us. And that's how the funding works. So lots of the click and collect one is really good as well. Click and collect for independent stores. All they have to do is upload a picture, a description, a price, and a timing period, and they've got an e-commerce site. Categorization. That's really good. So, and then special offers, well, there's, and the special offers is interesting because you can link them to then the push marketing when they go past the sensors. So I would like to be, I'm interested in deals on coffee. So when I'm in the street, high street, I've already opted in to have any deals that are available for coffee. As I walk near an independent coffee shop, my phone will alert me to say there's a special offer on this independent coffee shop and it's 20 yards up on the left. So all this technology now exists. Technology comes from some of the presenters before, but now it's all about what apps can you use to make all of this work. So, and what we've had to do is we've had to work out how not just as the businesses in the city centre and the high streets benefit, how does the council benefit itself? Have we lost our screen?
Yeah, it's a problem I tried to solve with IT earlier. You said it had been rectified, didn't it? Sorry.
So, sorry. I don't know if you want to shift around a bit. But now, we've now linked the Stripe payment platform into our App Store, which basically means that you can actually buy stuff through the App Store and all the apps on it. And the micropayments can be shared between the app developer, the local authority, us, the city of the app developer, and the payment platforms. And again, it's micropayments. Nothing gets you rich instantly, but if you do lots and lots of them, it becomes certainly significant, certainly cost neutral, and probably an interesting revenue generator after a couple of years. And this has been very important for us to kind of get to where we are now in the fight for budget. Now, this is lots of things on this chart. These are the types of apps that we're talking about. Now, there's for city councils, there's a reporting app. So basically, dog barking. I can just go on my my reporting app. Noise, dog barking. It's taken my location and the time, and it can then submit, and it sends to whoever you can possibly get to come and do something about that. Some police forces are pretty good at it, others totally wash their hands of it. But crime behaviour for the city centre, potholes, roads, graffiti, rubbish, fly tipping is a very important one for quite a few councils that we speak to. And then there's a whole load of local services, all local people, because now the apps are so easy to make now, template based, they can put their cleaning services on this, for instance. And there's things like childcare, walking school bus things, and there's all the community groups of gardening and outdoor hobbies and cleaning up the streets, and there's all the sharing, the carpool sharing, which I imagine Sheffield might work out pretty well for that. And then the real smart city stuff, things like footfall tracking. And because the apps are so easy to make now, the ideas that are being flung at us are pretty surprising most of the time. And we thought footfall would be really useful for the high street stores, so that they could predict what staffing levels they'd have to get according to what the weather's like, day of the week, season, and typical footfall patterns. The ideas came back, said, well, I'd like to only go out into the pubs on a Saturday night. I want to see which pub has got lots of people there. I don't want to go to a pub and be the only person there. Or I want to go out and I want to have a nice quiet time out. I don't want to go where there's lots and lots of people. So there's another type of footfall app coming there. We talked a bit about the smart parking one. There's also the waste collection one for a city. The moment you switch on a smart waste app program, you save 20% of the cost. And then again, as it gets optimized, it saves about 50% of the cost of rubbish collection in a high street town centre. So there are a lot, and this is just scratching the surface. So anything that has a payment going through it suddenly makes it all really interesting for the local authorities to get this done. But it does take a while to build. That's the issue, and you've got to have the technology in place. But if you've got the Wi-Fi and the smart beacons, you're most of the way there. If you had the low power wide area networks, you're pretty much all the way there for this. So if you've got the technology in place, the app store in place, the existing apps, converting the local authority website into apps, you're creating your new local apps, and we talked a bit about the social care apps and smart city apps. You have to add to it your cloud database. It could be your own for the city. The data analytics engines, we're having a little discussion about it around, but they all are now, not only do they exist, they're getting better and easier to use now. Open data to allow the app developers to actually get some interesting bits of data to create new things with. That again, you and I, we would have just never thought of this stuff. And then eventually put in an artificial intelligence layer on top, so that you can really start to understand what is driving the city and what's motivating the community, what's making a difference and what isn't. So there you go. So our job here is to provide the App Store backbone. We can do the cloud database or do your own. We help with the technology and the supporting solutions. Day one, we can just port in any apps that already exist, and then we work with any local app developers. We can show them how to use the templates and get lots of ideas in, and the app developers make money, the local authority makes money, high street businesses make money, and we take our money out of how successful it's been. Fingers crossed. So this is how we think we're going to start to make a difference, because the councils and local authorities, they just don't have the spare budget for this stuff. So hopefully that was interesting. 10 minutes.
Thanks very much, Dave. We're going to have to move on, because I really want to get Lewis's talk in, but maybe people can talk to you and ask questions afterwards. Thanks very much. Thanks.